You're listening to Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official podcast of Lingerie Fighting Championships. And now, here's your host, Michael Larkin.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me today is adult star, content creator, LFC fan, just a hell of a human being, the one, the only Miss Danni Dawson. How are you, Danni?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me. I know it's been a hot minute since we've connected.
It has, and I will say this, if y'all want to go back and listen to my older stuff from On the Mic with Mike series on my YouTube channel and my SoundCloud, Danni was one of the pivotal guests in the early goings of that fine series, and now we're here doing the thing for Lingerie Fighting Championships, and I gotta say, being an LFC fan that you are, you get to study a lot of the great matches that we have on YouTube from bouts and everything. I gotta say, I'm glad to see you aboard the LFC train. Chugga chugga choo choo, man.
I love it so much. Those girls are beautiful. They are doing their thing. Like, the dominance is awesome. Like, there isn't a part of it that I don't absolutely love.
I look at it from a stance like this, and I think you concur, being the beautiful woman that you are, as all women. We have such an empowering thing with a mixture of combative natures, combat, the overall art form, or what we get to see in the fine sports of MMA and professional wrestling. We have the sex appeal, we have the empowerment, we have the internal and external beauty. There's something for everybody, and it's a nice little flip the script, a nice little spice, a little taste, so to speak, of what we would see normally from professional wrestling and MMA, but we're amplifying it with the sexiness factor.
Yes, I love that, but those girls are definitely paving their own way, and I love that even more. I feel like with MMA, like, you don't get the opportunity to be sexy like you do with LFC.
See, I'm right there with you on that, and there's there's so many great women in MMA. I mean, we've seen in the past from the Ronda Rouseys, the Holly Holmes, and the Amanda Nunes, and so many great athletes. But I think with LFC too, I've always equated to the LFL, right? You look at what the Lingerie Football League was. Like, you had just badass women tackling each other on the football side of things, but then boom, you have the sex appeal side of things. So it's a nice blend, and it's a really nice mix.
Absolutely. Like, I love with LFC that you don't have to try to be one of the boys. You're a sexy girl. You're dominating your industry. You are kicking ass, and I love it. I love everything about it.
I look at it from a stance like this. I mean, you and I have talked about this, and I got to say, for those who've not checked out the fine LFC product, you look at women like Bella Madison, who I know you like, and of course, Brandy May and Allie Spoon, just coming off that. From LFC 41.
Oh, man, content, I love.
I gotta say, when you look at someone like a Brandy May, and I'll put this into the forefront for you, you've mentioned it, we've touched upon this, the curviness, the overall voluptuosity factor, and the bodybuilding side of things, the fitness side of things.
I love that. Like, she is definitely like a beautiful art form.
I mean, the lats in there. Look at this. She decides to just sit down and pull guard. A little surprising to me.
Yeah, as a kickboxer, she's like, let's do this.
But look at that. Uses a slick little sweep there. Gets her opponent off balance and moves immediately to the mount. My goodness, that took no time whatsoever. I was a little questioning in the strategy, but it seemed to pay dividends. And now she's just pounding away, testing the hearts.
Yeah, testing the heart. That's a good way of putting that one.
Oh.
Alex Boone getting over there, jumping. You know, and that's tough when they're constricting your breathing right there, jumping up on top. That's a lot of weight to carry.
And look at this. She just steps out of mount to twerk. I don't know that was the wisest strategy I've ever seen. You've got a very dominant position, and you give it up just so you can. I mean, we appreciate you shaking the booty. We do.
That's true. That's true. I'm appreciating the outfits.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And I love that she's doing her thing. Get it, girl. I love you.
I love that as well. I look at it from a stance too as well, even to go on more with your point. I mean, for you, and I'm going to ask you, because there's style, there's finesse, the aesthetic, there's everything that goes into the lingerie side of things. Danni Dawson, being the curvy woman that you are and being the overall sensual human being that you are, talk about some of your favorite lingeries, man, because that goes with the aesthetic and style of everything.
Man, I've always been a girly girl myself, and I love girls who are like that. I love hair. I love makeup. I love showing off my curves. Everything about it, I absolutely love. And I love the girls who get in there and are doing it, especially in the LFC. Like, it's just such a gorgeous thing. And then you're dominating the ring, and I'm just like, girl, you are my person. I love it.
No, I'm right there with you. But that's the mainstay of everything. I mean, especially in today's day and age, and we've discussed this. And one of the key things about why this show is called Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the beauty side of things, the strength, there's many different layers of what that can mean from in and outside the ring and what women go through and everything. The dominance really kicking into life. You have to have a meaning and a story to everything. I think you can also concur with what we see with these bouts and what we see within these women. It's all an art form, and we're all just applying our canvases to the best fouling. We're painting our own picture, so to speak.
Yeah, those girls are absolutely amazing. Like, to have the confidence straight out to get into the ring in whatever you're comfortable with, which is nearly nothing, and then go ahead and dominate in a fighting match is beyond what a normal person would do. Like, those girls have such confidence, such athleticism, and everything. And it really is a pleasure to watch them grow and continue to dominate.
I look at it from a stance like,
industry.
absolutely. And I look at it like this. We have so many different people who've come from all different walks and facets of life, people who've done adult work, people who've done professional wrestling, MMA, who've done the indies, who've been in, massive wrestling promotions. I look at it like this. You have the style and phonetic and finesse to really go into that, like we mentioned, but also at the same time too, if you can have the gravitational pull to really bring people in and really have that introduction factory, it works. It's how you gravitate. It's how you grow within your product.
Yeah, but the porn industry, like, we talk about all that, but the porn industry in general is about how you grab people into your product. It's like those girls know that. And when you see, LFC being sponsored by Loyal Fans, it's all about how you market yourself, how you have that pull to your fan base, and how you get in there and you make that money. And I'm all about it.
Of course. And I mean, to go on to your point, I think, and I'll ask you because you mentioned something great here, the loyal fan side of things. We see OnlyFans, we see loyal fans, we see the fanslies, the many vids and many different avenues on the porn side of things. How great is it to see how really that's really coming to fruition? Like, the community is really growing. And also at the same time, too, we've really evolved and elevated what we used to have back in the day with adult themed content.
No, I think to see other spin-off sites beyond OnlyFans, because you remember OnlyFans took a huge dive with that Disney star who tried to bring it down.
Right.
She had promised like a whole bunch of content to the viewers, and then all of a sudden they were like, oh, well, we're not a porn site. So to see places like Loyal Fans be like, no, we are very much about whatever content you're trying to create, that's a beautiful thing. Because there's a time back in the day that it didn't matter how talented you were, adult content was not okay for you to do. And to see us getting to a media where it's an accepted media and it's okay for you to film things with other consenting adults, and for other consenting adults to choose to subscribe, is a great place for us to be as a society. I really do believe that, because it hasn't always been the case.
I like how you bring that up, because I look at it from a stance too as well. When it comes to any scene or anything in general that really comes to fruition within the art form, accommodation, comfortability not only is very key, number one, but also number two, there's the safe and spectacular side of things, keeping it safe and doing it in spectacular fashion. There's a lot of variety that goes into doing what you and many other great content creators do, number one, but also number two, you have to have that along with it, because professionalism is key in anything.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, what's beautiful about LFC, but what's also beautiful at the porn industry is these girls are driving their own bus. That was not the case in the 70s and 80s. Those girls were doing whatever they could to get booked, and now they're businesswomen, and that's an absolutely beautiful thing. It's like, I'm sexy, I'm smart, and I'm running the show, and I love everything about it.
I think to equate this to you, Miss Danni Dawson, Double D, I got to put this into the forefront. You also apply to this because as long as I've known you, besides the fact that what you do on camera, I think behind the camera, I've really gotten to know someone like you who's just very smart and who knows what she wants. It's the passion, it's the drive, but also at the same time, too, there's levels to this. Number one and number two, that constant stigma just because, oh, you do adult film, they question the intelligence. There's that stereotype. It's like, no, there's a lot of avenues to go with this. And I think you've really taken the avenue that you're on right now as well.
For me personally, like I think for some people, yes, but I took last year off to go to EMT school, and I'm educated and I'm smart, and I've also worked for years and years as a certified pharmacy tech. So, I'm thinking about nursing school. Like, it's not bad to be a sexy girl in the porn industry, but it's okay to say, hey, you know what? I'm smart. I'm educated, and this is just my jam. It's okay. And I think as we see more and more girls try to take that direction, and like the industry will definitely change as you say, hey, at the end of the day, I'm smart. I know a lot of shit. It's going to be beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I look at it like this too. I think also number one, it's all about really being multifaceted, right? Really showcasing yourself and showcasing that strength and that empowerment. And I look at it like this too as well. You can be like, hey, I've been done pharmacy tech, I've done this EMT stuff. It's just another added layer to the resume of who you are as a person, your overall being and your spirit. So you get to really showcase, hey, I can do some solo stuff on camera. I can put out the content for it, but also at the end of the day too, I got a lot of notches on my belt, and that really exemplifies and really amplifies your character and your being.
Yeah, but I feel like there definitely was a time in the industry where those girls were seen as dumb bimbos, but we're seeing like a trend where these girls are now businesswomen. They're like, even if they haven't gone to college, they still know, they're educated, they're researched, and that's the most important thing about being like any girl who wants to get into the industry. It doesn't matter LFC, they want to become an adult film star. It's like, know what you're supposed to be doing, know how to market yourself. And again, that's worth the value in any college education.
Agreed wholeheartedly. And I mean, I look at it from a stance too, as well as in looking at the LFC. I've always talked about this, and there was an article by RT Sport back in the day, and they made a video about it. It really titled the two E's, the exploitation or entertainment. And I'm like, this ain't no doggone exploitation up in here at LFC. It's entertainment, it's a variety, it's something for everybody. I'm like, these girls are not exploiting themselves. We're not holding a gun to your head talking about, hey man, put on some lingerie. These girls are willing to do it because they love it. They love showcasing their sexiness and their confidence. Ain't no exploitation up in here.
No, I completely agree. And I think people, not just with lingerie fighting, but also with the adult film industry, have thought that for years. It's like, this girl, oh, she has nothing to offer if she doesn't do that. But that's not the case. And now we're seeing with all of the media opportunities out there, girls can market themselves. They're their own boss. And I love that so much for them. Because when I first got into the industry, that wasn't the case. It was like, you were a cam girl, you did adult film, and then you were trying to make a name for yourself. And then you were, reliant upon whoever could book you or would book you. But now that girl's like, I don't care. It's like, I'm driving my bus. I will book you. It's that old saying, like, don't call me, I'll call you. And I love that.
No, absolutely. And I mean, and it's funny. And I will say this, if you guys go back and listen to Danni and I in our past interview, like from where you were starting from camming and doing the Jeff's model stuff, which is great work there and some of your great scenes. But I look at it like this too now, like you had those great scenes and then you go over here and really placed another different avenue for where you are now and in your life and within your tenure. That's a beautiful thing, man. It's evolving and it's growing and it's adapting. But I got to say, I think it's great to have different change in how you get into stuff, because also at the end of the day too, what we had back in the day was known as taboo, but what we have now, we're really normalizing everything. And that's really key in any facet of life.
It's crazy that we're talking that next year will be my 10th year in Jeff's models. But yeah, I completely agree. Like, I feel like as a performer, I have evolved and the industry has evolved. I feel like every day I turn around, like it's a different industry. But I'd love to see things like LFC being sponsored by Loyal Fans, because Loyal Fans isn't necessarily porn. It's, girls doing their thing, being athletic and being sexy. It's not necessarily them doing, necessarily risque things. It's just them showing themselves in their best fashion, their best form.
I look at it like this, first and foremost, with the anniversary of the scene, as we did say, that it's going to hold up because it is really good stuff. And I urge anybody to go back and see and, of course, check Danny's work. But I look at it from a stance like this, man. I think what I love about your work, and to going on to that point, what you're doing, your solo stuff. I mean, you could be doing, as it says on your Pornhub, the squirt party, or you could do stuff with like candles and stuff like that and incense. Like, there's so many different layers of what you could do to create content and uniqueness and a variety. Like, that stuff not only takes courage and confidence, but also, number three, it takes a lot of things that go on with the sex appeal and really being comfortable in one's skin, and that's really something to admire.
Yeah, I definitely like, as a performer, I think when you see my early Jeff's Model stuff, like, you could tell I had a naughty side, but it wasn't necessarily the most confident porn star. But I was eager to learn, I guess learn, right? Best media. I think if you see my early work, it wasn't the best. Like, even when I see it and people are still talking about it, I'm always surprised because it wasn't the best. But what I think you can see as I've evolved as a performer and what I'm comfortable with, and I've evolved into a look, and like, Jeff will always be near and dear to my heart. Like, Jeff's Models was like, I was a MFC girl, my free cams. And then I did Jeff's Models, and the rest was history. Like, after that, you drove the bus for a lot of years. And to think that next year will be 10 years is crazy to me. Because, so many girls burn out at like 6 months. But I've been so blessed, and we're having a great ride, and we're not done yet. So I'm excited to shoot more solo content, and I have so many other projects in the horizon, and I'm excited to see what else we can be sexy together and do.
I look at it from a timid factor as well. Now, I can honestly say this from when I first saw the films and that now, I mean, even talking about it, like, you saw the sexiness, the real deal sex appeal side, but I could tell there, you're just adapting and whatnot, but where you are now, like, yeah, with the solo stuff now, it's just like, hey, I like doing this, and then boom, and you're really driving your own bus, like you mentioned, being your own boss, and that really does showcase a lot of, external beauty and just overall awesomeness. Really, it comes into the forefront.
Yeah, I think the content from my last year and a half, 2 years, especially if you look at my verified Pornhub site, you definitely see a whole turnaround. Like, I'm driving the bus, I shoot all that stuff at my house, I have my own shoot room, I have, webcam space, and you can see that I'm comfortable in my element, and I'm just having a good time. And, a lot of the fans are absolutely loving that, and I love that too, but it's definitely very different than my early Jeff's Models days.
Absolutely. I mean, that goes with the LFC girls too as well. I mean, you may see, and we'll mention a Brandy May, because I know you love you some Brandy May.
Love some Brandy May.
Like, Brandy May is another one who is very multifaceted. We mentioned bodybuilding, her work in the adult entertainment industry, Evolve Fights with Ariel X, LFC. Like, the woman does it all, especially with Niche Boutique with her partner Kim Buck. Like, the woman has a lot of minds and things in many different hats, but also at the same time too, and just her 2 appearances in LFC against Bella Inc., who's now the LFC champion, and Ali Spoon, who is another one who's got the curves, the word spins the verb. Like, you see the growth of Brandy May just in double nights and double shots of doing those bouts. Woman can kick ass. She's got skill. She's got kills. She's got everything from the art form and learning the craft. But man, it's on the way up and up for all these ladies.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited to watch them continue to grow in the sport. And they are some beautiful girls. Like, I absolutely love watching, just like, the average dude does.
No, I think that's great too. And a lot of people don't even realize, like, even if you, as someone who's done ring announcing twice, like, I got to say, there's a mixture of both great men and great women that love to come and watch these events. I mean, whether if you're in the Las Vegas area at the FSW Arena, like the last shows we're at, or if you're in Sam's Town Casino, there's so many different avenues in Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world, the entertainment capital of the world. I mean, it's a great pivot of what we get to see with great entertainment in the 702, to quote 702, where my girl's at from the front to back,
Right, from the front to back. Yeah. The 702, like, you never go wrong when you go to Las Vegas. There's so much fun to have. You just got to make sure you can keep it together and stay up.
Absolutely. But no, that's the beautiful part of this. And I mean, I even talking about it now and talking about it with you, and we get to see a lot of the great women, not only in LFC, but overall in general in popular culture and the adult entertainment industry in general. And I say this wholeheartedly and respectfully to all the ladies out there. Not only number one, y'all are killing it. We mentioned the business side of things, but number three, it's a good time just to see all these women just really getting their shine from where we were, like you mentioned, 70s, 80s, even 90s. Like, it's a different time period and people evolve, man.
It is such a different time period. Even when I got into the industry, it's funny. Like, I was just at home, as a My Free Camps girl. Like, I had a laptop. I didn't have the best stream setup. And the gentleman who, and a lot of them still follow me to this day, you drove the bus for me. And then I met Jeff. And I did Jeff's models, and everything changed. Like, I had no idea that we would still be talking about this all these years later. And then, I did Pure BBW and a whole bunch of other sides. And again, here we are talking about it next year will be 10 years, which is crazy. But, as a performer, I have definitely grown, and all these roles have grown, and the industry as a whole has grown, which is a beautiful thing. Because I've always, I know we've talked many times when I've been on your podcast before about how I love the 70s and 80s girls. Like, I love beautiful hair. I love makeup. I love, sexy outfits. But now you see these girls now, like, they're their own business manager. Like, they know what they're doing. They're driving the bus. They know how to get followers. They know how to get fans. They know how to make money. Like, you don't need that middleman anymore. And that's a beautiful thing. It's like, you are driving your bus, you're getting into this business, and you're making your own money. And the industry has never had that before. It doesn't matter if it's LFC or the adult film industry or whatever industry. Women are driving the bus, and it's a beautiful thing.
The 70s and 80s always had that aesthetic of just big hair and the image and the style that you're going to get from both respective decades. And I mean, like you mentioned, it's like, even in forms of media, if you want to do interviews or you want to do stuff and set things up, we have social media, we have email, there's positive and negatives to everything. And it's just another overall extension of how we get involved and how we network and how we connect, especially in today's day and age where we're social media driven. And it's a great time for people to really network and connect and see where everything blossoms.
Yeah, but back in the day, they didn't have that. Nope. The girls of the 70s and 80s, they were writing letters. They're hoping for a callback. And it's not even a call, it's a letter back.
Letter back, yeah.
Which is crazy to think about in today's day, that you would write a letter to somebody and wait for them to respond, right?
Oh, of course. And I mean, I even look at it from, and I'll show my 90s nerdiness and my game show pop culture. It's like when Ryan Seacrest, before American Idol, before hosting the New Year's Rockin' Eve, for those who don't remember, Ryan Seacrest used to host a show on the game show network called Click, and it was mostly internet-based trivia, and you had the chat rooms and you had the emails and stuff, early stages of the internet. It's like you watch a show like that and you see how far we've really come from the late 90s, especially now into 2025. It's nuts to really look at it like that.
Yeah, but the chat room, seriously, could you imagine nowadays talking to somebody you don't know?
Oh my God. And I mean, with the introduction of Catfish that would later come.
Yeah, exactly. Could you imagine going to a chat room and talking to people you absolutely do not know, like people did in the 90s?
It would just because, again, it's a different time, but also number two, with how technology has come, no. And I mean, that's thing, if you watch Catfish on MTV, I mean, there's so many seasons, but after you watch it, it's like, how do you even fall for it now? If you're getting
exactly. Or my favorite is not necessarily that, but when you think that your celebrity crush is really contacted you back.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that episode where that dude thought he was talking to Katy Perry. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But no, that's how the internet is. And I mean, you look at how Twitter, now X, is. I mean, we have a lot of different variables that really go into that platform. There's so many avenues for everybody now,
For sure, which is a beautiful thing. I think X has, and even Twitter, Twitter has made the adult film star. We have no other platform for social media where it's okay to post all your good stuff.
Do you think, and I'll say this, I know TikTok's had the community guidelines, same with Instagram. And the community guidelines I've always kind of been about, because I'm I could see a certain photo of a female on different social media site, right? But I'm There's so much worse out there, but this stuff gets banned. It's just it amazes me what gets under the community guideline strike sometimes.
Yeah, I think, TikTok is a loss to everybody, right? I learned so many things from TikTok, how to organize, how to cook. Like, I never learned anything bad from TikTok. I think TikTok is more political, but when you see platforms like Twitter, which is now X, even though he's very political in modern day political issues, when it comes to censoring media, which is one of the reasons they won the election, was he hasn't done that. And to see a safe space where people can post whatever the hell they want, if they pay $11, I'm all for it.
And it's a freedom of speech thing. And I mean, in today's day and age, really getting to show what you want, not hurting anybody else at the same time, but also not at all, but also like really promoting yourself and branding yourself, like we mentioned. But also in today's day and age, we really need more of that stuff out there. There's things that, yes, we can, kind of like hide up so people don't see it, but also at the same time too, there's a time and a place for everything, and the time and the place is absolutely now for people to really go out there and be their own self and DIY, if you will, do it yourself, because that's very key.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was very sad to see TikTok, taken down and then later banned, because a lot of those people, they were paving a way for themselves, and you could learn a lot of stuff on TikTok. Like, I'm not married, but I could, like, if I met my person, I could definitely be like the best housewife. I could learn how to clean, cook, yeah, whip you up some dinner, like TikTok showed you all that. Like, so I hope eventually they figure that out. And I feel like I don't get that from Instagram, which I know is owned by Mark Zuckerberg and a very American company. Like, I feel like Instagram and Facebook just don't have, even though they have Reels, they don't have the reach that TikTok had. So, and, I hope it definitely comes back.
I mean, I look at LFC now, and LFC's on Rumble. So you have the platform with YouTube where you get to see all the fights and the reality series, much like the website. But now you have a Rumble, which has become a great place for people to really go to. So it's another platform. So, and Rumble's even taken over in its own right. That's really come onto the forefront.
Yeah, I love that, but I don't feel like we've had a second TikTok.
Right? I feel you. I know.
Right? You haven't, right?
No.
What are you like? What is the site that you're learning how to fix stuff and cook stuff on?
I feel you. It's instructional stuff. I definitely feel you.
Yeah, I feel like people were teaching me stuff on TikTok, and they were not like, I get the political stuff behind it, and I supported it, like 100% support our country and bettering it for all Americans. But I'm not learning anything from X, and where am I learning to make that perfect dip for Super Bowl?
That's the thing. Instructionals are so key. And I mean, it's the things that really get likes out here, just in a matter of seconds, what people can really take in and digest and educate and gravitate towards. I mean, that's the key thing about everything,
Absolutely. And we just don't, unfortunately, right now, we don't have that, but hopefully we'll have it back.
And I will say this, what you will have with the LFC product is, again, we mentioned LFC 40 Booty Camp 5, LFC 41 Lingerie Fight Club. Check out all the events, and especially on the YouTube. Now, you've watched the fights, but also I have to ask you this. Looking at the product in itself, not only do we get the fights, but how awesome is it to see the behind-the-scenes stuff with LFC Exposed, get you that deep dive into it? I know you've been checking that out as well, Miss Danni Dawson.
I love it. We've talked many times. I'm like, I definitely want to be there showing those girls some support. And we've talked about me being out in the audience, and I cannot wait to one day be like, hey, I can't wait to meet you and be that fangirl.
I gotta say, I hope to definitely see you at a future LFC show in the 702, like we mentioned, girls at from the front to back. Hello.
Right.
But I look at it from a stance like this, folks. If you've not given the LFC product a chance, and if you've not checked it out, much like Danni Dawson Double D has, you're in for a treat, and you're here for a lot of badass women kicking ass and taking names, as it is. A little bit of MMA, a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of clothing. Hello. So we give you a little bit of everything.
Absolutely. LFC freaking kicks ass. Like, those girls are killing it. They're beautiful. They're working hard. They're athletic. Like, you don't go wrong with it. Like, I love watching it, even if it's just for a couple of minutes for a clip. Like, it's awesome.
I will say this, you, my friend, are awesome. And I got to say, love having you on and just talking everything with you, really picking your brain. I cannot wait to see you. I know you're going to get back into the swing of things. So what can we really expect coming to the future for Double D over here, man?
Oh my goodness, so much. Like more solo content. We were working on an erotica line. I'm going to be writing some naughty adventures in a book. And so much. Like I'm gonna do some merch this year. Like there's so many great things coming. And then also I'm gonna go to nursing school. How you like that?
All right, now nursing school and
I
everything.
know.
The
Like,
educational side. Woof.
I know. Like I feel like in some ways, like being an adult film performer, like in some ways it's like girls are afraid to say, "Hey, I'm really smart too," but I think we're taking the wolves by the horns. Like last year I took almost the whole year since we've talked last.
Yep.
Because I went to EMT school, so I became an EMT, passed and all that goodness, and now I'm ready to go to nursing school. And when this is over, I'm ready to I love helping people now in a different way.
That was actually
So when the time comes and my looks are fading, I'm excited to help you in a different way, where I'm like, hey, I'm Nurse Danni Dawson, and I'm here to check your blood pressure.
I was about to say you're both helping people in different respective ways.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing, but I think also to add to your point, it's all about really staying positively proactive, and especially in a positive environment where you can help people from the EMT side of things and nursing, and also helping people health just in general. It's a beautiful feeling. It really is.
It really is. Like right now, like when I decided to go to EMT school, I always have had a love for the medical industry and being a nurse or doctor or whatever. And, porn kind of fell into my lap. And I was like, being educated was always so important to me. And I think if you're an entertainer in this business or you're in any kind of media, definitely don't overshadow getting educated for the future, because you just never know when it's over. Like you don't. And it's okay to be sexy and smart. Like it's great.
And I think it also adds to the fact of, like, we mentioned the term multifaceted a lot, right? That adds more to your resume of like, okay, EMT, nursing school, learning about the medical field, which is a great field to learn at. There's a lot of discipline and time that goes into the studies, but also at the same time, too, you have this over here where it's like, hey, man, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to help people in this way, from being that sweet, sweet fantasy baby, to quote Mariah Carey. So, I mean, it works. There's levels to this, as they say.
Yeah, and I love that. And I don't feel like any industry has really had that. I feel like, there was a time where you had to choose. Are you smart? Are you going to make money in a different industry? Or is it okay for you to be smart and sexy? And I feel like as we're growing as media is becoming more accepted, that you're on social media, that you're on these, paid platforms, like there's no reason to not take a college class, learn something, work part-time, whatever you have to do. Like it's not taboo.
I got to tell you, besides work doing the podcasting stuff that I do, and I can add to that, guys, I've been working in the market research field for like over 10 plus years. And it's like doing customer service, learning stuff like that. Like, I mean, you're going to have your good days and bad days when taking surveys or doing what have you, but noticing the data collection, how people think and how different things go into it, like you learn stuff, you know what I'm saying? Everything's a learning experience.
Yeah. And when I first got into the industry, so I am a person who's always had a vanilla job, as they call it.
Right.
So ever since my very first day, so when I first shot with Jeff's Models, and my very first days, like I worked in the liquor industry. I was tasting room manager for a winery, and then when I moved back to Los Angeles, I had worked for a liquor retailer for many, many years. And I remember when I worked for one that was not as known, like I remember the first guy being like, yo, how do you work your part-time? Like, yeah. And eventually told me he had watched my porn. And this is like pre-pandemic. So it was cool. And he was super nice about it. He's like, yeah, thank God you didn't pick a stupid name. He's like, that's so great. And like, it's like, it was so funny. It was like the funniest experience. Like, because when people meet me in person, even though they try to act like they haven't ever seen what I've done, they kind of dance around it. They were like, oh, well, thank God you didn't pick a stupid name. And thank God, oh, well, how do you afford to work here just part-time? Blah, blah. And at the time, I was just working part-time. I was working. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, like I wasn't as comfortable like saying it. And he was like, and then eventually, like, he told me that he knew that he had seen my content and he was a huge fan and that it was like such a pleasure to meet me. And then, and then I went to work at that point for a different liquor retailer, and I worked there till the pandemic, and it was never an issue.
That's that's what's so funny about it.
It's such a funny story. So I think like some girls are like afraid to be exposed, even if the finances are not there or they're not making what sometimes the internet says they should be making, or other girls are making, or saying that they're making, and they're afraid to work. But don't be afraid to get out there and do something, at least part-time, further your education, do something. Like, because when you're 60, like, nobody's going to want you shaking that thing,
Like the funny part about just the liquor side of things and just the gentleman watching your porn, and I mean, like, everything that goes into that. I mean, look at what we mentioned, like working in the liquor industry and now just like doing medical stuff. I mean, you're staying the course, not only in your journey of where you are and where you need to be, but I think everybody needs to have something to fall back on. Like, they really do. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody needs to have something to fall back on. And I mean, you have MILFs, you have GILFs, and like you said, being at 60 and not shaking that thing. But I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. And I think people really need to have that fallback plan, or just really know what you can do. And also, if something doesn't work out here, go over here. There's ways to find what you're into and just find your voice and your purpose.
Absolutely. And for me, it was like, I've always loved education. I've always loved to learn, but I'm a naughty girl. Like, so, the industry has taken me very far, I guess, as we talk about almost my 10th year of Jeff's Models. The industry has taken me very far, but at the same time, like, I wanted to, to help people in a different way. And, I remember when I became a pharmacy tech, and then, later I went to EMT school, and now, getting ready to take the TEAS exam so I can go to nursing school. Like, that's what I want to do. I'm hoping that I will build a brand and a business, and we'll start shooting other girls and, have merch and other things. But, when I'm like 60, I still want to help people, but maybe I should put my clothes back on.
but I think it's, when you manifest and put things out into the universe, I think that's a great start, and it's a great starting line for where you want to go. And honestly, myself, and I'm sure the fans can conclude with me, the fact that, like, it's going to be really good, and we can't wait to see what you have going forward. I can't wish you nothing but love and happiness going forward, Danni.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. You've always been a great fan.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And I mean, I look at it like this. I mean, from the erotica side of things, I do have to ask this, just because you're writing erotica stuff, the literature side of things, like, a lot of people can really get into that, man. A lot of naughty stories, erotica, it could be great pieces that a lot of people can sink their teeth into.
I'm so excited for my erotica to come out. Like, years and years ago, before I was a chem girl, I used to pen it under a different name, and it was always so popular. And to think about, like, the sex comedies of Danni Dawson. And I feel like also, like, curvy girls or BBW girls have not had their own erotica. Right?
Yeah, true.
And they need love too. And they like to do naughty things. And, my mind is a dirty, dangerous place.
and I cannot wait to read it, as I'm sure all of us will. But no, that's how you have to do it. And first of all, shout out to all the BB dubs up in here, man. Shout out to women in general. But yeah,
sure.
You get to express the naughty side and put the pen to paper, man.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for that to come out. Like, it was one of those things that, like, I woke up and I was like, oh my God, we have to do this. It's like, out of all the projects that I'm passionate about and I get presented, I was like, that's the one. Like, I definitely want to pen some erotica, just, a couple of short stories in a book, nothing super, super long. Cause people are fast media people nowadays, but a little something to get you a little hot when it's not okay for you to be watching the hub.
Give a little taste, give a little appetizer, give them a little hotness from the writing side of things. I like your style.
Exactly.
I feel you. And I will say this, one other thing I have to ask before I have you plug the socials, and I will say this, the overtures here, Danny, for round 2, I'd love to have you definitely back on the show and talk some more and engage, man. Talk about what's going on.
Absolutely. I would love to come back anytime.
I got you. And one thing I always love to ask with this podcast, I always talk about the meaning of beauty, strength, and dominance being the 3 key elements that make women the work of art that they are. So I got to ask you, being the strong, beautiful human being that you are and woman that you are, Miss Danni Dawson, what does beauty, strength, and dominance mean to Danni Dawson?
Dude, just a girl who is killing it. She's making her own money. She's running her own rules, and she's the boss. And I love that. Like, these girls have such a beautiful platform and so many opportunities to make money and to drive the bus. Like, we don't have to ask, a man for anything really. Like, back in the day, you had to be like, oh, well, what is my business partner? Even like back in the day, like, porn was shot by men. Like, you had to beg to get, booked or whatever. Now you're like, I don't need you to book me. I'm here. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I love that. That's beauty, strength, and dominance at its best.
Beautifully and eloquently said. And Miss Danni Dawson, I have this to say to you. You are on all forms of social media. Where can we follow you? The floor is yours. Promote the socials.
All right. So you have Instagram and X at MZ Danni Dawson. Obviously, my link tree as well at Danni Dawson. And I'm everywhere. Just go to my link tree. You'll find it all.
Link tree will be in the description of this audio. And guys, subscribe to Mike Larkin 92 on the YouTube channel for all these fine programs. And also go to LFCfights.com on the VIP section where you can get the LFC podcast, Tommy Bellart's Sketchy and Funny, all the great LFC events, LFC Exposed, and so many great things from Lingerie Fighting Championships. The next event, February 14th from Tokyo with Love. You get to see Tokyo, Japan, all these beautiful women. Yes, all these beautiful women.
I'm so excited.
Yes, all these beautiful women from Japan doing the damn thing. We got a little international flavor, if you will, bringing the flavor.
Exactly, sexy ladies doing that thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, now, so guys, check out LFC from Tokyo with Love, LFC 42, coming February 14th. And Danni Dawson, do you have any final words for the fans, the peeps, the LFC faithful? Any final words to the peeps?
Oh, go ahead and subscribe to all your media. You're going to have a good time.
I like your style. I like your style. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as I always say with this show, life is an art form. We're all applying our crafts. Continue to apply your craft in amazing fashion. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, with this title of this show and my mindset, beauty, strength, and dominance, the 3 key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Double D, Danni Dawson, I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Yeah, I know I'm good, but I'm getting better. Like wine, this could have been an email, so don't be wasting my time. Don't be up in my face, don't be all in my space. Ooh. You know they say that everything ain't what it look like. Now I see it clearer. I used to wonder what it looked like under the lights, and now I see the picture. You really gotta take your time for that. Don't rush into it, baby, just relax. Perhaps it's all in line, please take your time. One step closer than you know. Too much noise, you gotta go. 3 steps, 3 times, 3 more than before. Before you know, yeah. I know I'm good, but I'm getting better. Like wine, this could have been an email, so don't be wasting my time. Don't be up in my face, don't be all in my space. Yeah, I know it's good, but it's getting better. Rewind, this could have been an email, so don't be wasting my time. Don't be all in my space, girl, I'm up in my prime.